So here's the big question. You're interested in value investing and valuing and evaluating businesses on a deep level, but you don't know how, even after researching for hours, probably dozens of hours, hundreds of hours on the internet, and because nobody else shows you how to do it. This podcast has all those answers and much more about value investing and finance. My name is Jason Rivera. Welcome to Value Investing in Your Car.
Hey, Jason here. Today's episode of Value Investing in Your Car, I'm going to show you the first ever stock analysis I ever did from 8 years ago. Before I get to that, though, I need to let you know you can get this series as a podcast anywhere in the world for free on all major podcasting platforms. Stitcher, Anchor, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, and more. You can get this as part of the Value Investing in Your Car podcast anywhere in the world for free. And make sure to stick around towards the end of this video. I'm going to give you a link to help you become a better value investor faster after I tell you this story. So before I show you this analysis, I'm going to give you some context into my mindset, how long I've been learning at this point, all that kind of stuff. To show you, the reason I'm showing you this is because frankly it's painful for me to look at this, which is why I'm smiling uncomfortably. The reason I'm showing you this is to prove to you that you can learn how to value, evaluate, and find great stocks and great investments. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to have mentors. You don't have to have anyone who can help you. But if you learn from the stuff, other than the stuff we're teaching about investing journey, of course, if you learn from the stuff we teach you, you can make an enormous amount of progress fast and value stocks and evaluate great stocks and earn higher investment returns than most professional investors on earth. Okay, so before I get to the actually showing you of the analysis, the context to this was in late 2011, early 2012. So more than 8 years now, actually about 8.5 years now ago. This was my first ever analysis, and you'll see why I'm doing the quote marks in a little bit, that I ever wrote down. This was for 4 or 5 years before this. I had been researching investing and value investing and learning about value investing in stocks and valuation and all that kind of stuff. But frankly, I didn't make that much progress until then, until I wrote this over here, for several reasons. I kept everything in my head, which if you do that, you can't literally see on the piece of paper that I'm about to show you. You can't see where you were missing analysis. You just kind of keep going over and over things in your head. And I didn't know why this was until years later. When I got to the investment newsletter in a couple years after this, I got hired at an investment newsletter a couple years after this. And they teach you not only how to write, but certain things about writing and how it improves your memory. So if you write things down, it helps you remember things more than just thinking about it or looking at it. If you write things down either physically with a piece of pen and paper or write it down by typing, it helps you remember it better. That's because it helps you slow down and kind of focus on what you're writing. They also, at the investment newsletter, I learned that if you write stuff down, not only does it help you remember it better, but also gives you the ability to learn faster and learn more because you can go back and see where you're missing holes. So for example, this is a real world example from earlier in Value Investing Journey. I was talking about, and again, this was probably around the same time frame. So 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. I wrote an article, didn't mention debt at all. I just completely spaced out that I didn't talk about debt, which is ultra important, especially as a long-term conservative value investor. You want to know what the debt is. But I didn't know that until one of the commenters commented on the post and said, hey, you didn't talk about debt. And then I think in another article, I talked about debt a little bit, but I didn't really get into the nitty gritty and the details of it like I should have. in another post, I wrote on the blog, and I wrote another analysis article, and I didn't talk about buybacks. Or I did talk about buybacks, and I said they're good 100% of the time. They are not. And a commenter pointed that out to me, and I learned an enormous amount from that. And again, I knew that, but I just kind of wasn't at that time putting things together as well as I should have been. And if I wasn't publishing online or anywhere, frankly, I wouldn't have learned that lesson. If I wasn't physically writing down my articles, I couldn't have published it, so I wouldn't have learned that lesson, and I wouldn't have spotted that hole. So this is why it helps you learn faster and learn more. So at this point, I'd been learning, again, 4 or 5 years, but I wasn't really making much progress, as you'll see shortly, in 4 or 5 years. This is why I highly recommend to every student I've ever had, writing it down physically or in some kind of notes or in an actual analysis article, what you write down, because you will make an enormous amount of progress faster if you do that, if you get everything out of your head and you write it down. So that's the context of this, making little to no progress for 4. And I began publishing online regularly, and my learning about value investing and investing in finance and valuation exploded after this. So that's the context. Remember, after 4 or 5 years of learning, what I'm about to show you, is my first, and at that time, again, only and best analysis I'd ever done. Okay, so I'm going to show you my screen. And this is the first ever stock analysis article I ever did. The reason I was using quotes, and I just did it there, even though you're not on my screen right now, or that I'm not on your screen right now. Well, let's just go through that, and then I'll tell you why this isn't a real analysis article. So this is from, I'm editing the second edition of How to Value Invest. If you're excited for that, let me know in the comments below. This should be hopefully final edits. Through the intro and the first 4 chapters of the book already. I just scrolled down here because I wanted to make this point though today. So this is the first analysis article. Literally in here, and I'm going to leave this up here and then I'm going to scroll down and show you the rest of it so you can read it if you want. But this isn't really analysis. This is literally, I copied and pasted information over from sites like Morningstar and Yahoo Finance, and probably even Vodafone's own website for this information. There is no thought, there is no analysis, and I don't think there's an evaluation anywhere. Yeah, see, current dividend yield, blah, 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 blah. Here's a little bit of analysis. But I don't go into the full details. Again, if you're going to release this publicly for people to see, you need to have them understand what that means. A little bit of analysis here. There's no context here. So, for example, what that means is later, if I would have done this article later, I would have compared in this analysis piece what the industry competition's debt to equity ratios were. Again, copy and pasting. I don't even use any of these metrics anymore. I use EBIT, which is operating profits, free cash flow, stuff like that. Again, just copy and pasting over a little bit of analysis here, a little bit of analysis here. Yeah, a little bit of analysis here in this section. Not much analysis here, and 0 valuations in this entire section. So again, I'm going to scroll back up. We already saw this, so I'm going to leave this here and then scroll down. if you want to read it. I'll also put this in the doc below if you want to read the full analysis. Again, the reason I'm sharing this with you today is because people think, there we are. People think that value investing is hard, and it is. People think it's impossible, and it is not. This is my first ever analysis after 4 or 5 years of learning. And there's not much analysis in here. There's not even one single valuation. This is after 4 or 5 years of learning. Not one single valuation. Very little analysis. Literally just copy and pasting everything over. The reason I do these videos, write the books, make the courses, is to help you so you don't have to deal with this kind of frustration. Again, 4 or 5 years is essentially wasted time where I didn't learn much of anything. Again, there's not one valuation in here after 4 or 5 years. Now I help students within days of becoming a student, analyzing a company from top to bottom, including at least relative valuations, if not full intrinsic valuations within days. This is why I want to show you this today, is to prove to you that you can do this, that you can do this faster than certainly 4 or 5 years it took me to figure this out. And now almost 14 years that I'm into this, you can learn faster, you can learn better, more efficiently with someone there to help you. That's, again, why I create everything on here. That's why 99% of our content is free. That's why we have the paid courses and programs to help you reach your goals and dreams in value investing, to find great stocks, to build your investment portfolio, to build your retirement portfolio, to build wealth, to help you reach your goals and dreams. When I started, and again, this wasn't a starting point. This was 4 or 5 years. I'm sorry to emphasize that, but it's super important to this conversation. When I started, I had no mentors. I had no coaches. I couldn't go to college due to severe health issues. I literally had to learn by myself. Every single thing. Then I found a blog here and there. Then I would learn from there. Then I would go to another blog and learn from there and there and there and there. To this day, still pretty much 100% of the information I've learned, probably 99% of the information I've learned is from my own self-teaching. Yes, some of it's been from blogs like CS Investing back in the day, and John Chu, and Whopper Investments, and Ragnar as a Pirate, and Value Prax, and Old School Value and stuff like that. Some of the old school value investing blogs that are, most of them aren't even around anymore. That was the only source of learning other than books. There were no courses. There were a huge amount of value investing blogs. There's a bunch of value investing nerds, essentially, or a few value investing nerds that were talking back in the day that I learned from. And I learned, again, on my own. They didn't have courses, though. Took what they learned, tried to implement myself, fail, frustration, all that kind of stuff, then make improvements. But the key was when I started writing my analysis down. That's what skyrocketed my learning enormously. I learned more in the next year after writing this than I did in the 4 or 5 years previously combined. You can do this with my help, with or without my help, but I'd love to help you. With our programs, we have courses all the way up to a masterclass and one-on-one coaching all the way down to $1 courses right now, which you can find links for all these below, that will help you learn how to become a great value investor faster. Again, that's why we put out everything we put out. But if this is my first analysis after 4 or 5 years, imagine what you could do in a few months with these programs. A few days. Again, I show people how to analyze a better stock within an hour and a half training session now than the analysis that's in this piece that took me 4 or 5 years to learn. That's why I'm so excited to help. That's why I'm so excited to continue helping as many people as I possibly can with these programs and services. Again, 99% of our content is free. But if you want to accelerate that learning and you want to accelerate your knowledge and you want to accelerate your investment returns, check out the links below to some of our programs, or check out some of our, again, free links. We have free links everywhere. Most of our 99% of our content is free. But I'd love to see your first analysis if you have it. I hope it's better than this one. But again, if I would have never done this, I wouldn't be here talking to you today or being able to analyze companies in seconds now. This helped me get there. But that's the whole reason I'm making this, is to prove to you that you can do it, especially with someone like me or the other value people out there now who are available, frankly, that weren't available when I started. So I'd love to help you. Again, check out the links below. And if you want to see this full analysis and read the whole thing, again, analysis, I'll link that in the links below as well. But until next time, I'd love to see your first analysis. Again, hopefully it's better than mine. But if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, love, share, subscribe, and comment, and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I'm releasing a video. And I'm releasing new videos all the time. If you're listening on the podcast, like, love, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Download. We really appreciate a review as well, because the more reviews, views, and listens we get to our content, the more people we can help with stuff like this. So I really appreciate it, and have a great day. Talk soon.